grownfolksmusic.com.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, this is this is something new because usually when I'm in the podcast world or whatever other world where I'm just talking trash on the internet, you don't see me, which I don't know. That could be good or bad, depending
What?
upon your point of view.
It's all right, man.
So
I see
thank
you.
you. I appreciate it. So
Yeah.
without any further ado, I want to welcome everyone in, and especially our guest today. We are going to be talking with none other than BJ Pendleton, who is a engineer and just an overall and all around music production guy, musician, excuse me, extraordinaire, and he has his own world of music that we're going to talk about. Where he's doing many things. Just to reintroduce myself, many of you all here that follow Grown Folks Music know me by my alter ego, which is the Love Man, but that guy doesn't come on stuff like that because this is serious. Like that dude is like late night trying to get your Mac on, as it were. The voice goes down a couple of octaves. So anyway, BJ, so let's get into this. You were until about a month or so ago, um, in your day job, out on the road quite a bit, mixing, front of house for some artists that I know the audience is familiar with. Can you tell us a little bit about your work and the folks you've worked with, and kind of what you've been thinking about as we transition into a sort of a new normal here?
Over the last year or so, I've been working with Robert Glasper, Gregory Porter, and Nile Rodgers
Mm.
specifically. I've been working with all of them for quite a while. I mean, looking at my calendar, I've been working with Robert for almost 10 years now, which is pretty cool. Um, yeah, I'm the front of house engineer, production manager. I set it up and they knock it down. I show up early and get all the instruments set up for everybody, and then go through and set up all the microphones. And I'm their tour manager too, so I tend to do a lot of things off the stage to make sure that they're coordinated. But yeah,
Wow. Yeah. And just to be clear, I mean, this is me being clear actually, so I like to learn along with the audience. This is the type of work that you've been doing, obviously stateside, but also it takes you out of the country from time to time. Is that correct? Or
oh yeah, I've been doing international travel now for probably about 8-9 years.
wow.
Yeah, in and out of the country a lot actually. It's one place. It's funny that I find myself often is Japan. I'm in Japan a lot.
Wow.
So they love the jazz. They love the jazz.
Right. Oh, so and you've been doing hits at the Blue Note there, or just different?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then there's also the Billboard Tokyo,
Mm-hmm.
and I mean there's a couple different blue notes over there too. So
Okay. Yeah,
bounce
like
around. We'll do
Osaka
five or
and yeah. Okay.
so
Very
we'll do
cool.
4 or 5 nights in a row at one spot, 2 shows a night, and then go to the next spot and do the same thing. It can be kind of tiring, but whatever.
I can I can imagine. So let's talk a little bit about I mean, I'm a geek, and I like I said, along with the audience, I love to learn. So what are some of your go-to tools of the trade? Like what are you in solidly in a particular camp when it comes to a mixing desk? Are you where are you on that?
Wow. Well, I definitely have my opinions about a lot of things.
Okay.
We'll say that first. Um, I think that it's all about user either error or input. How about we put
Mm.
it like that?
Okay.
We can put anything to work, bro.
I heard I
Is
heard
my
that.
point.
Yeah.
So you bring it on. We're
Okay.
gonna put it to work.
Okay.
Um, Now that being said, I'm a Yamaha mixing console kind of guy.
Hmm.
I prefer their mindset. They're a very consistent bunch of people with the way that they think, the way they've designed their analog desks up through their digital desks.
Okay.
But honestly, what I do is I pride myself on being able to use all the stuff.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
it makes me more effective. So
Mm.
I challenge myself all the time. I mean, I just did the most recent Nile tour with the new Avid console, but then I was mixing for Amos Lee about a year and a half ago. We did a
Yeah.
couple tours together, and I had the new Yamaha PM10 desk,
Wow.
which is just, in
Yeah.
my opinion,
Yeah.
the best console out at this point in time.
Wow.
Just so functional. Get me
Yeah.
started. It's out of control. But once again, put them all to work. That's how
Okay.
I like to look at it. For me, it starts with the microphone choice. I'm a
Mm,
big nerd about mics. Make sure your mics are solid and right and not fancy or too frilly, trying to do too many things. Just keep them basic and easy so that let me do the work. I don't need the microphone to do the work. And then after that, it's mic placement and making sure you know how to tune the instrument, and then you can go from there.
wow. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I would just like to say, as someone who has been the beneficiary of being on a stage where this man is, the front, you know, yeah, because I feel like, well, yeah, I say when you're at the front, but I feel like you were at the front and side stage, so because the monitor mix was incredible as well.
Well,
So
yeah, it all
yeah,
works together, man.
yeah.
That's one of the things that we have to recognize as musicians and as engineers is
Mm,
that it all works together. We're not in a bubble.
yeah.
We all have to jive together. Got to make all the things work together. So that's how the whole thing works.
Okay.
Yeah,
I thank you. That
of course.
was very informative. And I want to yeah, no, like we're on PBS. But
Indeed, sir.
yeah, right. It's Bridehead Revisited. So um I wanted to this is something that has been bugging me. And I don't know if you've been out here in these internet streets and it's starting to get into your craw as well.
Ugh.
But there's a lot of obviously with this the world we're in right now and being quarantined. There's a lot of time for people to be creative. There's a lot of opportunities for folks to do what we're doing, whether it be in a live scenario or recorded as we're doing. My biggest complaint, and maybe it's just because I'm from that school of I think that the sound is just as or even more depending upon the artistic discipline. The sound is just as important as the visual. And so yeah, so you got folks out here doing these battles on IG live, and the sound is just horrible, and folks are doing things from the crib where if they put a blanket somewhere, or if they kind of shut the room off. What are some things that you would recommend? And I mean, again, not everyone has the luxury of a particular setup, but
Of course.
what are some things that folks could do to sound better in these times?
Um, well, the reason I chuckle while you're asking me the question is just going back to my fundamentals of just growing up as a sound engineer. As lights became more prevalent and more predominant, and music videos started to become more of a thing,
Mm-hmm.
it's like everything went away from the audio and it started to go more towards the visual.
Mm-hmm.
And it's funny you ask me how to make things sound better. It's like, man, just turn off the camera. That would be the
Heard
one.
that. I heard that. Yeah.
Oh, but we can't do that now, can we?
No.
And I hate to digress too far, but I try my best to stay out of the internet depths.
Sure.
I like to be out here and being as productive as I possibly can, and being in the computer too much to time suck. So I can't prescribe or subscribe to that too much. How about I say it
Mm-hmm.
like that? But
Sure.
anyway, so it goes back to one thing I was saying earlier about mic placement.
Mm.
You know, so normally whenever you're filming something with your phone, you're across the room or down the street or inside a room, and they're outside on the corner, while so that you can't get the audio of what they're doing.
Mm-hmm.
So for my first recommendation is figure out a way to be able to get your microphone, basically your phone, as close to whatever you're recording as you possibly can.
Mm-hmm.
Right now you and I are talking into microphones going through audio interfaces. That makes it so we can basically whisper into these microphones
Mm-hmm.
and
Mm-hmm.
they do the trick.
Yeah.
um yeah, it's tough for people to have a proper audio crew whenever they're doing a video of something out there. But I mean, I can say that if you can get your hands on a simple audio interface,
Mm-hmm.
I
Mm-hmm.
mean, they don't cost that much money. You can spend $100 and get a USB cable and hook it into your computer. You should be able to find something either free, if not free, real cheap, to be able to actually fire it up to use it, record your voice. You can record inputs. You could actually run a microphone over to the other side of the room, put it in between the two guys that are having their MC battle, or you could plug your guitar straight into it into one of the channels and plug your microphone that you might have into another one of the channels. You can level those inputs out, and then you can actually make yourself sound like something. I mean, I would say another thing that's easy to do or helpful to do is get yourself a small mixer, a little 2-channel thing. It's amazing what you can blend and put together, because you can blend both of those things together outside of the computer, and then use, even if you only have one channel to input into the computer, you can, send out of the little mixer into the computer, and then you can blend whatever couple inputs you have on the mixer going into the computer, and you can listen to it on the headphone out on the mixer, and you know exactly what you're sending into the internet, so people can get a proper sense of what you're trying to do. Because I mean, we put so much effort into the lyrics, into the look, into all that stuff, and then to have it come out all jumbled and garbled is like, it's a waste of time. So if you're gonna do it, it's okay to put a little effort into trying to do it right.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah,
Yes,
I,
sir.
I, I agree. And yeah, I need to sometimes, well, I do sequester myself from the internet streets, as it were,
Ugh.
to do other work. There's other work.
These
So
days it's tough, man. It's pretty much where we're all at, which is kind
yeah,
of interesting.
yeah,
I'm trying to be as creative as possible in the time in between, and forcing myself to not just be sitting there staring at your cat pictures of what you had for breakfast this morning. I
yes.
know that's a thing. I know it's your thing, bro.
Oh yeah, it's easy to go down that rabbit hole. Um, speaking of which, so because of the obvious, you have now you're transitioning for a while into this ability to provide your services for folks who need mixing and production. Can you tell us a little bit about your your concept in doing that type of work, and maybe some things that artists who are looking to engage your services, some things that they can think about on the front end as far as doing a project?
Of course. Well, um, I'm all about mixing. I love mixing shows. I love mixing recorded stuff. Just love the music. It's all music all the time, and that's pretty much how I roll. So I am trying to make myself available, and not just trying, I am making myself available
Mhm.
for people to send WAV files over to me. Stack them up if you want. You can, send over a voice and a guitar, and if you want me to put them together and make them sound as sweet as possible, we can do that. Or if you're trying to put together your next hip hop album, and you don't have a sense of how to balance everything from one side to the other, I'm good for that stuff too. I'm in the process of building a recording studio so people can come out and actually record the stuff with me. But at the same time, now we all have access to so many great, easy ways to get things done here at home. So feel free to record away. Um, I can say there's a couple things that people can do to make sure the files are solid before they hit me. Um, if you have the ability to record with a click track, it can be a little annoying. You think as a musician it might suck the life out of your project, but and I can totally understand that. And if that's not your thing, don't do it. It's fine. But if you can, it makes it a lot easier to edit things after the fact, to fix problems, whatever else, to move parts around if you like, because it's on a grid, if you will. Makes
Mhm.
it easier to move things around. Um, I guess from there, then on an even more fundamental level, make sure that you're recording your inputs in a proper fashion. Make
Mm.
sure the gain isn't too low, but definitely not, that's not as bad as if you have too much gain and
Right.
you're clipping
Yeah.
the input.
Mhm.
Because whenever you're clipping the input, we can't fix that sound. It sounds like a broken, overdriven kind of sound. We can't, unless that's something you're going for.
Right.
We can't clean that up.
Mhm.
Same thing with the input is way too low, then we can boost the input on our computers, which is cool, but you'll probably be raising the noise floor, so you'll
Mhm.
hear more of the noise that's involved. So take the time to make sure you're getting your input correct. Um, Tune your instrument, tune the rack tom, you know, what, I can't say you can tune your vocal cords, but just maybe listen to yourself a little bit better, or make sure you give yourself the best opportunity to hear yourself while you're doing the recording. And then from there, the sky's the limit.
Mm. Yeah, I think, well, I mean, again, under the great advice um, side of the game, as I would call it, because yeah, a lot of times folks will talk about offering services or whatever, but they won't get into the, like I said, the basics. Which again, too low of a signal, you're going to introduce noise. Too hot of a signal, you got square waves, and it's bad, and you can't do anything
Yeah,
about that. Yeah,
that's right.
and but I liked what you said about tuning. Like that to me is, you know, oh, it's like of paramount. I mean, as a horn player, as whatever else, yeah, it you get to the point where it's just like your ears are, like, hey, it's got to be this way. And I mean, at least for me, that's from years of being yelled at. Playing, like,
However, we got to get it, man.
yeah,
It's going to sink into each of our heads in a
yeah,
different way. I like
yeah.
to look at it really fundamentally as this.
Mhm,
It's a feeling. It all
mhm,
feels a certain way.
mhm,
And you can tell when something is just, I guess, you can tell when there's discord, or you can
mhm,
tell when there's dissonance,
mhm.
because it just doesn't feel right.
Yeah.
So I just say, don't be afraid to trust your feelings, and also don't be afraid to trust your instruments and your gauges.
Mhm.
Get a tuning pedal if you're a guitar player. It's the best thing ever. You'll be blown away. You'll be in tune. People will scream and yell. Girls will throw bras. It'll be great. Yeah.
Also, I wanted to offer up. I know that from experience, I've had BJ mix some things for me, and there are going to be a lot more things that I'm going to get him to
Oh yeah.
mix for me. Just I've been just sidetracked by some of the arrangements of some of the stuff that I'm working on because I want it to be correct. But I was going to say that I know you're a user of Logic Pro X. I have just started to get into the Logic world, and I will say this: I'm liking what I see. I love the integration between Logic and Reason. I'm a longtime Reason user. But the other thing is, for those of you all right now, just in this time period, if you don't use Logic, you do have an opportunity. Apple, along with a lot of other companies, realizing the state that we're in right now, they're offering up some different some different ways of engaging with their software. So for Logic, you can actually try out fully functioning version of Logic for 90 days before you have to
Wow.
commit to purchasing it. But as we've talked about, I mean, it's $200, and I mean, for
It's so good.
yeah,
It's so good. I
yeah,
can't even tell you. It's like, there's so much functionality in one small space. It's a dream. And the amount of sounds that they give you,
mhm.
the I mean, I can't even get started with this virtual drummer that's in here.
Right,
It's killing me. I've been doing
yeah.
songs now. I've been doing a bunch of songs. Just I love all the drummers that I play with. I'm a bass player, so it's like
Right,
I'm
right.
all about my drummers. But it's like I'm about to cut them all the way out because this Logic's got them all in there. It's like, sorry guys, I guess I'll call you for the gig,
Right, but at home.
but you ain't getting none of them credits.
Right, right. That's right. You're not in my liner notes. What is it? What is Rose a drummer in there? I can't remember. I'm just being Rosa. I'm
Yeah,
I'm being is that right?
yeah.
I don't
There's
know.
Rose. No, there is Rose. Is I think
The
it's
neo
Rose
soul
something.
drummer? Because I think I did something. I
That
pulled
is
up a neo soul
hilarious.
thing and it was like, hey. So yeah. It felt real.
Here, you know what? I'm looking at it right now. Let me tell you. Oh, Isabel is
Ah,
my Latin percussionist. That's what I was thinking
Isabel.
about.
That's
But
awesome.
yeah, Rose is the modern R&B
Yep.
drummer.
Yep. We hooked up. We linked up.
Oh, it's killing me. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
but amazing the amount of nuance that you can get into with
Mm,
this. They did a great job.
yeah.
And I mean, and outside of the drummer part, there are so
Mm,
many different ways to edit and correct oneself in here.
mm.
It's I don't know. It's almost like anybody can get into being a musician now because you can fix it,
Yeah,
make it sound
right.
better.
Yeah,
Plug in for it.
right. Right. Speaking of now, yeah, I did want to ask briefly, not briefly, but just wanted to ask. So, are you a big? Because I know some folks are like they seriously geek out on plugins. Is that your world, or
No,
you? Okay.
no. But as I hate to be so quick to answer that,
Okay.
but I'm not the youngest person doing this anymore. I've been mixing shows since the 90s. So I've seen the full progression from the analog console to the digital console. And also I've grown up with a lot of these DAWs, these digital
Right.
audio
Mhm.
workstations and these recording systems that everybody's come up with. I mean, I've seen them pretty much since the very beginning.
Mm.
And the plug-in part of it is something that's evolved a lot.
Mm. Okay.
Um, the different stages of it, I can understand why people were excited about them years ago, even though I've never been a big fan. I feel like it's made people miss their fundamentals. It makes people
Mm.
miss the basics of how things work, and they end up relying on a plugin to create something that they can probably create themselves if they actually just had a better sense of how the thing that they already had in their hand worked. And that's an
Wow.
issue for me when you don't understand the basics of something and you're trying to use an advanced feature to
Mm.
make it sound like something else whenever you already had it right there. But whatever. That just goes to the I've been doing this for a long time.
Yes.
Um, but
Yeah.
outside of that though, it's over the last, I could say even just 5 years, the evolution of these plugins has just exploded.
Mm.
It's crazy. It's crazy what they've come up with and how good they sound now. So as much as I can say, oh man, I would never do that. I'm kind of open to it now.
Right.
Because if it sounds good, baby, it's like, hey
Yeah.
man, that thing sounds good. I
Yeah.
mean, they're putting a lot of effort into it, and it only makes sense,
Yeah. Yeah.
just the algorithms are getting tighter,
Mm.
and there's just more time in between, that they've had more revolutions, more times around to try to work out the bugs and try to help move the thing down the line.
Mm.
So yeah, I mean, there's some plugin stuff that's incredible. So I can't knock any of it now, but my old school analog reflexes to be like, oh no, keep that away from me, man. Keep it
No,
over there.
hey.
Well, it's funny to me whenever some kid that I'm working with comes and looks at my computer and he sees like this graphic interface, this graphic like what looks like a rack mount thing, and he's like, "Oh man, that's cool." And then he comes into my studio and sees the real version, and he's like, "Oh man, that looks just like the thing on the computer." And it's like, "Oh wow!" And it's like, "Yeah, this is the
Yeah.
original, pal.
Right.
This is what it's supposed to sound like."
Right.
But you know what? They're making these things sound good, so I can't argue with
Yeah.
it. And everything's getting so daggone cheap, bro.
Yeah. Yeah.
Everybody, go ahead. My mama's got one. She's recording a trap album right now.
I
She's
love it.
killing it, man. I'm gonna tell you
Yeah.
what.
Yeah. I mean, it is. I mean, even just to go back to Logic for a second. I mean, just even I've been really, impressed with the reverbs.
Oh man,
Yeah, the stock stuff, and just the ability to go in and then notch out certain frequencies on the back end, so you don't. So I'm like, okay, excuse me.
you
So
want one? Here's a little one from me to you.
yes,
Check out in the EQ section on the
okay,
channel strip. Check out the vintage EQs
okay,
at the
all right.
bottom of the selection bar there. Yeah,
Uh,
it's and they give you multiple options. You can be a graphic EQ, can just be more like a channel strip EQ, which is more like a parametric kind of
yeah,
thing. But like just the sound, you don't even have to change anything on it. Just inserting it on there, it gives it
yeah.
like this like warmer vintage kind of
Uh,
tube driven kind of sound. It's detailed, man. It's crazy. But I'm not gonna give away all my secrets. So y'all feel free to send me some files,
right.
send me some
Yeah,
stuff. You
yeah.
can check out my website at pendletonpresents.com. That's my production company. Pendleton is my last name, pendletonpresents.com. And you can actually email us through there. Hit me up. Let me know what you might have going on, and we can try to work something out for you. I'm all about working with people's budgets. I'm not here to break the bank, but I'm also here to go to the bank. So,
No, I know
you know,
that's right. So this is, I mean, BJ, this has just been a great, what I'd like to say, hint, hint, nod, nod, a great introduction, because I would love to, if you're open to it, to reconvene at some point here soon and maybe just, go through, I mean, again, without giving away, all the secret sauce, but to, maybe talk about, some things, whether it's, you know, signal chain or maybe some basics around compression.
Of course.
I'm hearing something on this mic here that I don't know. But anyway, yeah. So anything, small things that we could do. One of the things that separates what grown folks music does as an entity is we've always said that we're artist friendly. We're definitely about the artist. And I know a lot of artists who will tune in, that may be at home, and this may be something that sparks something in them. And then, like I said, maybe we can give them just a little bit more, but not everything, but
Of course.
something.
Well, what I like to do is, as much as I'd like to say they're all mine, but they're not. It's all about the fundamentals, and you'll hear me say that all the time. So maybe that's what we can do is we can get together and have a series on the fundamentals of running sound,
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
really just the fundamentals in creating music, because there's a
Yeah.
lot of different ways to go about it, and we don't have to be experts at everything.
Right.
I think it's good to admit what we don't know. It's good to go and work on those things, and then also know your fortes, know the things that you're good at,
Yeah.
and exercise those things too, so that you can get better at that and make yourself an absolute killer on those things. And then there's no doubt, because that's what it's all about. Yeah, I'm all about sharing the information, man. So I look forward to doing this again, Ivan. Thank you very much for taking the time with me, brother.
Oh, thank you. And for everyone here at Grown Folks Music, and for all of you all watching out there, we will check you out the next time. And please keep it locked. We're doing a whole lot of different things. I did a test run of a mix show, a live mix show on Facebook, and probably we'll come back at some point, and BJ and I'll do something live, some kind of way. But yeah, keep it locked. Until the next time.
GrownFolksMusic.com